Doing, boys and girls? Welcome to another special episode of the Herschel Talkers. Coming in with you. How we doing today, Big Sean?
We're doing good. How we doing, little Trey?
We're doing well. How we doing,
All
Hein?
right. Hans is Hans, man. He's looking to rob a bank, create some havoc.
I like it. Havoc. That's what that Georgia defense is doing because I hadn't said it in a while. But you know what this defense is? To quote the great Vince McMahon, ruthless aggression.
Aggression.
That's what it is.
There we go.
Hey, Dogs get another big win. I'm not going to say beat down, but impressive win on the road at Jordan-Hare with Stetson Bennett, the mailman, who's getting better, 34-10.
What would be more impressive is Auburn actually got around to winning one of these every now and then.
Hey, now it's 14 out of 17. Is it even a rivalry anymore, Sean? Domination.
Yeah, we might need to move them over to the ACC or something.
Exactly. Hey, beat down at Jordan-Hare, big win, shut down Bo Nix, gave him some problems. Got a little interesting. They did come down and score 3 on the first possession, and then I think we gave them a pity roll, and we let Pink Bigsby actually score a touchdown in the third. 34-10. Defense looked great. Stetson Bennett at the office, 2 touchdowns. Didn't turn the ball over. A little more than game manager, ran around a little bit, had a targeting, which I was a little scared earlier in the game. We might have had Carson Beck coming in. But overall, just kind of leaned on him in that fourth quarter with Milton and Zamir White. What was your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, right? I mean, I think it goes without saying too that if we flash back to the beginning of the season and you were to tell us that we were basically going to be down 7 wide receivers and JT Daniels basically would have played 2 games so far this year.
Sure.
I think a lot of people would basically kind of write this year off similar to last year, and not think we're in this position that we are. So, obviously the defense is incredible. And the thing is when you're only giving up, what are they giving up? Like 5 or 6 points a game?
6 points.
Yeah, it's not hard to beat a lot of teams that way. But that said, you do have to give Stetson Bennett credit. I mean, since that Arkansas game and that one bad throw, he's managed. He's pretty much done what he's been asked to do in managing the team. Making the right reads. I feel like for the most part, we've had 2 freshmen or redshirt freshman wide receivers step up big time. And, the other thing, too, is the running game, I think, has really kind of come along as well. I mean, this team's just different. I mean, I think that they know what their identity is. They're very old school. They're going to dominate you with defense, make you beat their defense. And then I think they're deceptively explosive on offense, too. Incredibly efficient. They get points on the board. There's not much to like. 34-10. Or not much not to like, I should say.
Exactly. Plus, everybody keeps saying it was a tough environment. It's the first true road test actually in 2 years with COVID year with a full stadium. Another impressive thing is, Sean, 6 games have given up 2 touchdowns from the defense, which is but they did sack Bo Nix, who's they lather him up back there and he's slick, and they finally got to him. 3-0 against Bo Nix. I'm sure he was loving it. He was complaining about some calls during the game, but that was just him being a baby. But great win. Ladd McConkey, all SEC player of the week. I think over 124 yards was a touchdown, which was great. Bennett was great. Did come out a little banged up. Jamari Sawyer, left tackle, I think went down with an ankle injury, looked a little bad, but I think it didn't swell. Hopefully he'll be back or can play a little bit. Chris Smith, shoulder injury. Looking like might not play this week. You can probably sit him out. That Daniel Jackson kid's been a great story. I actually led him quietly in tackling last week. So that was good. Hopefully get some guys back. So definitely impressive win. Looking at this week, big matchup, game day. Number 1, Kentucky.
Dun, 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 dun.
Actually, the first time we get Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson, because we had the B crew last week. First off, how bad was that B crew, man? Aaron Murray and them were snoring.
Mm. Speaking of Aaron Murray, I want to bring this up.
That's your boy. That's your boy.
Aaron Murray is the Benedict Arnold of the University of Georgia football. The thing is the guy was honestly, I know he put up a lot of yards. He scored a lot of touchdowns. He won a lot of games, but he won a lot of meaningless games too. I mean, a lot of his stats are irrelevant because when it mattered most, he was just an average quarterback, right? And the thing is going back to when he first started this, to me, the guy's a piece of shit. All right. And here's why. That this university, this football program that you played for has been without a national title, what, Trey, 40 years, 41 years, whatever the hell it is, right?
41 and counting, yep.
And you're intentionally trying to create a distraction for this team by claiming or posing the question of, is there a quarterback controversy because of JT Daniels being hurt and Stetson Bennett having some success? And I mean, it's completely asinine. I mean, starting quarterbacks get hurt all the time. And, a reliable backup quarterback is not a new phenomenon. When they're both healthy, everybody knows who the starting quarterback is. It's JT Daniels. Right. And who's the better player is. It's JT Daniels. So it's not like it's a situation where you have both guys that are kind of equally ineffective or they're both equally effective. And they're kind of, they're not, people are really divided in terms of who should start, right? Mm-hmm. You clearly know, I mean, this isn't like it's, Tom Brady and Drew Bledsoe back in 2001. It's not remotely the same thing. I mean, this is clearly a backup quarterback that is playing great football right now, which again, I give Stetson Bennett all the credit in the world. But Aaron Murray, we've got injuries, we've got some issues. Why are you trying to make an issue out of this? I mean, I get the fact that basically you went to 2 SEC title games and, rather unremarkable in both of them. And, par for the course for you with your time at University of Georgia was to lose at least 50% of your big games. But just because that was you and your team, it doesn't mean that it's Stetson Bennett and JT Daniels. So, as a Georgia alum, as an ex-UGA football player, how about you try and be at least a decent human being, a decent alumni, and don't try and create garbage controversy and distractions for the team,
In defense, Greg McElroy, who's analyst, ex-former Bama guy, is talking about, hey, wait, they should go with the hot hand. Why would you take it away from Bennett?
Former Bama guy, right?
Yeah.
Former Bama guy. And again, I understand the argument of why you'd bring that up to some extent, I guess, although I still think it's, when you really delve deeper into the issue, it's not close who, the more effective quarterback is, especially when it comes to throwing deep balls.
Yeah.
This is clearly, Stetson Bennett is clearly a backup quarterback. Nobody's going to mistake this guy for starting quarterback at any, at the NFL level. I mean, JT Daniels has NFL talent. And so to me, Aaron Murray knows that. He should know that. Be deep. Don't try and just pile on. You don't have to pile on to that argument just because Greg McElroy is doing it,
All right, let's dive deep into this because this is going to become an issue. I think let's look at it. All right, probably going to sit again this week. They say he's been limited, making more throws, maybe a little better, but it's almost that whole thing. 30 reps. We were texting earlier about it. Sounds like maybe can't throw over 30 yards, which is limited. So you sit him this week. It's 4 games, bye week.
Yep.
Let's say if you put him in for Florida and he comes out there and he's rusty, struggles, underthrows some guys. You need this win. I mean, you can possibly after this Kentucky win, he pretty much clinched, but you don't want to use Florida because you drop down in the polls. Do you pull him? I just feel like if you're Kirby, you got to be perfect. You got to make a good this might be
that defense is going to eliminate your need to be quote unquote. I think perfect in most cases.
Perfect in the quarterback situation because I agree. I'm always been against Bennett. You need Daniels down the stretch, but what do you do if you come out and he's rusty? He sat out 4 games.
I mean, that is what it is, right? I mean, the other thing too is what are you really going to need him to do? I feel like for a lot of opponents, if if you can get that defense 24 points, you're probably okay. And the thing is, it's
my
just
number was for Bama, and it came
for
true.
30, right?
40. Remember, I always said 40.
Oh, yeah, 40.
Texas A&M 41. They beat them. It was a struggle, but it was tough. But they got the win.
I mean, yeah, they did. But, Texas A&M is, I don't think their defense is nearly as elite as ours did. And they gave Bama all kinds of problems. Like, I just think we're deeper. So I don't necessarily, see us really needing to do that. I mean, unless if the kid literally just comes out and is throwing pick sixes,
Yep.
If he's rusty, so what? I feel like, for whatever reason, like weapons have been open when the kid's been out there, right? Or when either one of them been open. I mean, people have been open all year. That's a byproduct of Monken's offense. So I think as long as people are open, I think the kid's probably going to be able to hit. I mean, some of these hypotheticals are unreal, though. I mean, like, when is the kid ever just like he's always, when he's been in there for the most part, he's always been accurate, and he's always made the right call. I mean, it's literally like you're taking a completely different quarterback at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's gotten better. I'll give him that.
I mean, rusty to me means maybe he throws a couple balls, like behind some people or over the top, but then you just rely on your receiver to make a play, I guess.
Yeah. We're jumping into this big matchup, game day again. Third time game day, second time in Athens in I think a couple of weeks, which is great. First thing I want to, before we look at the matchup, how about the big expectation of this, Sean? Haven't been, I think, both in the AP and the coaches poll since 1982. Is this going to be a distraction? Are they going to read the paper clippings, as they say? How about having this number one target on their back? And then are they all in? I feel like this team's a good mindset. They're all in, but is that going to be a distraction? Hey, you're number one. Nobody can be.
I don't think so. I've never really seen a Kirby Smart team, in a big moment come out and be the whole team come out and just be unprepared. I mean, we've seen sometimes where we've had some struggles. I mean, LSU is really the only game that I remember where they just, the offense just did not play up to par, right? I mean, and a lot of that was related to quarterback issues. But I feel like for the most part, I don't foresee that being an issue for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's, Georgia's kind of taboo for modern football, right? I mean, it's almost like they're, a borderline wishbone offense that's number one in modern football because they're just so defensively dominated, and their offense is, their offense is still really explosive. They still score a ton of points. But, it's not what we've seen in the last 4 years or so of national title teams. Normally they're incredibly explosive offenses. And, and so I think because of that, Georgia knows they're going to have to prove things week in, week out. I also think because of the quarterback situation, that defense is knows that they're going to have to, quote unquote, carry the team, so to speak. The other thing too, I think it's a huge advantage for this team, not just for the defense, but like for the team as a whole, is there's a lot of upperclassmen on this team.
Yep.
Jordan Davis to, N'Kobe Dean. I mean, I don't have to name them all, but even on the offensive side, I mean, Sawyer's a senior, Stetson Bennett and JT Daniels, for all intents and purposes, are seniors, right?
Zamir White, senior.
Yeah, Zamir White and Delvin Cook.
Yeah.
And, Schaefer as well. And, the really only place where you're playing a lot of youth is a wide receiver, right? So I think because of that, they kind of know what they need to do. And I think Kirby's going to be good enough to, Kirby's been on number one teams before. And so I think he knows, like, you just have to focus on handling your business. I think they're well aware of a team that they're going to have to go in there, handle their business.
Hopefully get out of injuries.
Yeah.
Because they got decimated last year. All right, looking at the matchup, 23-point spread, which I think is crazy. A lot of people did. Not giving Kentucky any respect. Kentucky's coming off a big beat up on LSU 42-21, which is impressive, coming off Florida win. I think Florida had 15 penalties. You watched that game on the way back. You said, kind of shot themselves in the foot. But two big wins at Kroger Field. I think they were at night, but you got to come to Athens, and this place is going to be rocking. 3:30. I think this is their first big road test. Levitt's kid's been playing good. Had some turnover issues first couple of games. They rolled around with Chattanooga by 7. Only beat South Carolina at Williams-Brice, Willie B by 6. Levitt's kid's playing better. This Rodriguez kid's actually, I think, #1 rusher in the SEC, but hasn't played a defense like this. We're going to get some dudes back. We'll talk about that here in a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and make my prediction. I think Kentucky makes a little bit of a game in the first half, but it's going to be too much for them. I like us 31-10, so I don't think we cover by like us 31-10. They get like a backyard touchdown, maybe late in the fourth against the backups, 31-10 rolling. Hopefully get out with no injuries. And I think Bennett just does enough, a little bit more.
What was the score of the game last year? Do you remember?
It's 14-3. It was like watching paint dry because remember Stoops tried it was a 12 o'clock game, snoozer game. I remember watching. He tried to limit the possessions. He tried to play, hey, run, 3, 4 yards, run, limit it. And it was like the possessions. I think Bennett looked kind of sloppy, 2 picks, and was like limited 14-3. But like the count later got hurt. Jordan Davis went down. We had another defense. I think we had like 4 or 5 injuries. It's just they're really physical. But I just think we're gonna punch them in the mouth. They're down a couple of defensive linemen, and they're down their second leading wide receiver. So I think they're coming in a little banged up too, which we are really banged up. I'm gonna get 31-10.
Yeah, to me, like I can see it going either way. I'm a little bit surprised by how big the spread is, but they lost their nose tackle, who I think is that's a huge loss for them. And I think they were already down due to injury, another starting defensive lineman. Yeah, so we know like how important that is. So the thing is that should help us to be able to run the ball some. The other thing too, when I look at Kentucky's quarterback is he's thrown 6 picks. So he at least throws 1 pick a game, right? Mm-hmm. He's only got 11 TDs. So to me, that would also indicate that they're probably going to have some issues, passing the ball.
This guy's right here. He's got some numbers, but he ain't running on that defense.
You're not going to run on that defense. And so the thing is, and Kentucky's not an offense that's really built on lighting people up either. So to me, like I can see Georgia's defense keeping this. I can see him holding them to 3-10, right? Which means at that point, all they have to do is score 34 points. I feel confident they can do that. So to me, I'm going to say it's going to be, 37-10.
Okay. Similar to last week. I like it. I'm going to go 31-10. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I can see them, trying to switch it up at first.
Actually, I'm going to change it. I'm going to say 34-3.
Oh, wow. I like it. All right. So they don't even get a touchdown. So, look at this crazy. When you look at it, 5. That's crazy. Yeah. Right? And then, they're respectful at 17.5. But, hey, even if you beat them 17-3, still 2 scores against top 10 team, top 11. So, hey, we're both agree on that. Looks like Sean likes them to cover. I like them not really covering 31-10. Should be good. I just hope we get out of here with no injuries. On the injury update, I did want to mention this, Sean, just because looking down the road, we were texting the other day. You know how I always go in panic mode, Larry Munson, analyze everything. All right, still got 6 wideouts. Mm-hmm. It's 7. So no Blaylock. Burton, that was a last minute scratch with a growing injury. Looking like he might get Rosemary Jackson, Rosemary Saint.
Jack Saint, yeah, whatever it is.
He's coming back. Like I said, Blaylock's still out. Of course, Pickens. Who else?
Arian Smith
with a shin contusion. 4 weeks.
And you got Gilbert.
I don't even want to mention his name. He's done for the year. They're talking about, I think he's going to class online, but he's out. So when are you going to get these dudes back? And I'm like, you need to get them down. And I can hear Kirby, they're not game ready. And, thank goodness we have Ladd McConkey, and we got, of course, Bowers is solid. And we have A.D. Mitchell. And it looks like Kyrus Jackson's slowly been sliding in there. He only gets 2 receptions, but they got him on punt return. Like, you need these dudes for the long run. And, like, when you get them back, and you got to get chemistry, and there's no Daniels. So I'm glad that we have depth. But, like, when are we going to get these guys back? And they keep saying, hey, they're going to be ready, but we're in game 7.
To some extent, Trey, like, and I hear you, like, to me, it's almost about as fruitless as asking, when's it going to rain next, right? Who knows? Because the thing is you don't really – Kirby just doesn't disclose a lot about injuries. He just doesn't. Maybe this is a Ladd issue that
I was talking
DJ
about
Daniels is wheeling. Well, but I'm just using that as an example. I mean, we were told it was like a pulled muscle, right? I mean, there's no way it's a pulled muscle. I mean, you're out this much.
yeah.
And for some of these other guys, I guess they come back when they come back. I mean, I think the big thing is I think you probably need them more for like the Bama game than anything you're going to need them for in the regular season. I mean, and that's where it's been huge for McConkey and AD to step up like they have and play the way they have. I mean, it's just been, incredible just the way that they've, been able to step up as true freshmen and contribute. Bowers too. And, I'll say too, I think that regardless of when these guys actually start coming back and, it's really by game 2 that we're probably going to start to see anything meaningful if Darnell Washington and Tyke Smith are any indication, because, I think they came back in the Arkansas game, but very brief on snaps. I mean, they looked like they were a little ginger. But, at least as far as Darnell goes, I mean, Auburn, you really saw him like impact the game. I think he got at least one pass interference call, made a couple other catches.
Yeah. Run offense, his blocking's great.
Right. So, like, I don't know if we get any of these guys back for Florida or not. Time will tell. Like, truthfully, I don't know that you need them back for that either, though. I'll tell you one thing I think that'll be big is if Kyrus Jackson can continue to, get better and come back. I think it's kind of interesting because he might be the starting slot receiver, but he doesn't really play like he's a starter. I mean, he kind of is in a more of a reserve role, but he gives the offense a burst when he's out there. Yeah. And I think if you can get Trey Burton back as well, it just kind of depends on, how beat up they are, I guess. Again, you need them for Bama. So we know that there's no ligament tears or anything like that to keep them out for the year, so as long as they're good to go for that, 1st December Saturday for the SEC title game.
But to get chemistry, looking at the thing, I think if you get Charleston Southern couple series, you got Tech, punch them in the mouth, you can roll through those, get their feet wet with the chemistry, maybe Daniels is back, and then you're like, on all cylinders for Bama. I think those last 2 are like good warm-up games. Get their feet wet, get some of these guys going.
Well, and arguably the thing about it too is it almost kind of, obviously unintentionally creates a little bit of an advantage for you as well, because your offense can look completely different with some of these other guys back.
Exactly. So I feel like we're peaking at the right. Just keep that defense, keep all the dudes healthy is a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and looking briefly at the rankings here, which is crazy after the Alabama loss. All right, and touch on that real quick. We both watched. I think everybody's in a little shock. What's your thoughts on the Bama game? And is this not the Bama teams of the past? And is college football just more of a parity year? And like, there's really no like, except for Georgia, who's definitely number 1, proving it. Like, is this thing wide open?
Well, and I don't know if we discussed it in prior podcasts, but I know it for a fact we've discussed it. That Bama's had some noticeable issues this year. I mean, other than Jameis Williams, the receivers are not, as explosive as they've been in years past.
Matchy.
Right. I mean, it seems like they've got a little bit more of possession receivers this year. Although that JoJo Earl kid, I think, at some point the light will turn on for him and he'll kind of be similar to like Jalen Waddle or Ruggs or what have you. But I think a big part of Bama's problems are stemming, honestly, from their offensive line, especially their right tackle, which I had mentioned before. I mean, Bama, they're just bad in pass protection, and that right tackle got abused, something fierce on Saturday. And so, that's something where if it doesn't improve, I don't really know that they're going to have much luck against Georgia either, because Adam Anderson and Nolan Smith are bad enough, like when you're able to double team one of them, but when, you got Jordan Davis collapsing in a pocket, it's kind of hard to double team them. You got problems. It's hard to know how much to make out of, the offense's issues. There's still a lot of talent there. Part of it, it takes time for some of these guys to develop, right? I mean, they might be a completely different team by the beginning of December. A lot of that will, I think, be determined by how far their offensive line can come along. I think if their offensive line can really improve, that'll help things.
How about
You know,
the defense? They're saying this we're supposedly supposed to be one of Saban's better on paper defenses. Do you think that's on the
well,
DC?
and that's what the Bama writers were saying. Now, obviously, I think that was based on last year. They've been hit by the injury bug too. I mean, losing Chris Allen, who I think was their defensive leader and outside linebacker, that was a big loss for them. And then I think Anderson has been kind of banged up as well. And, in Chris Allen's place, they've been playing a true freshman, Dallas Turner, which, we wanted badly. And unfortunately, due to COVID, we couldn't get him on the field or, get him on campus rather for a visit.
Sure.
A bigger problem for them, though, is their defensive line, I don't think, is nearly as dominant as it's been in years past. I don't think they've got a single starting defensive lineman or linebacker or inside linebacker that would start for us. They're just bad there. And the thing is, I think one thing that A&M did beyond just being able to run the ball was they exposed their inside linebackers with a lot of stuff to the tight ends and over the middle. Right. So, unlike the offense, which I think is just more of, trying to, get yourself, is really just about waiting for that light to turn on, learning the system. The defense is a talent issue, and you're not going to be able to do anything with that other than hope you can outscore people. So,
sure.
But I do think this week is going to go a long way as far as deciding, or as far as telling us, is this going to be a fixable, correctable issue? I mean, was it just because that's the thing too, is Bama's had plenty of single bad games in years past, and then they've turned it around and fixed it. I mean, maybe that's the same thing this year, right? Maybe that was just their absolute worst game and they'll rebound. I guess time will tell.
Yeah. And then I feel bad for Mississippi State, who they got this week. That's going to be a beat down. It's going to come out pissed off. But looking real quick at the rankings, Iowa number 2 is crazy. Oklahoma, who might be the Caleb Williams show now, taking over for Spencer. Right, crazy game, by the way. If anybody goes back and look at the highlights, 55-48. Had to go to a memorial, and I was leaving. It was third quarter, 38-20. Cincinnati. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out because our boy Scott, Angry Scott, who couldn't be with us, got some family medical going on. I know Sean is. Watch these guys. I think these guys are going to get going. I know a bad loss with Oregon, but I think they're turning around. I think they got Penn State in a couple of weeks, but they can get going. I think is it EJ Stroud? Is that his name?
CJ.
EJ Stroud's getting it going. I know they haven't really played anybody, but watch Ohio State quietly getting it together. Michigan, we'll give a shout. The Fighting Gwens got a big win against Scott Frost. Scott Frost might be toast. But how's it shake up? And I think another one is they're going to backdoor in. They don't have anybody left. I think Cincinnati backdoors in. You might put them inside 4th spot. So what do you see about like the top 5 and some of the shifting around in the rankings, real quick?
I think it's about where it should be. The interesting thing to me is Oklahoma, because if you look at it without fail, regardless of whether they're a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback or not, they always have a terrible regular season loss. I mean, you're talking about like a loss to Kansas or or just something crazy. And so, you're kind of wondering to see, is that a trend that's going to continue, or are they going to finally get past that hump?
Yeah, they've been in these games, barely winning all of them, barely.
Yeah, to me, I think it's a little bit interesting that Ohio State's over Michigan right now. I mean, to me, I know Ohio State's more of the has the better reputation, recent history, but to me, probably, and I know this is outside the top 5, but Michigan probably ought to be ranked just over Ohio State just because they're undefeated right now. Mm-hmm. As far as Ohio State, I think you're 100% right. I think they can absolutely move up. I think the key for them, though, is going to be, can they correct those run defense issues that they were having earlier in the year, or not? I mean, I think the talent is there without question on defense. It's just, I think it's the coaching and that's been lacking there. And so if they can get that turned around, for sure, I would absolutely expect to see them as one of the, the 4 finalists in the college football playoffs. But, I mean, they're going to have to get past Iowa and a couple of other teams. I think Cincinnati is appropriately placed at 4, just based on the overall body of work, over the past couple of years. I think they've done an outstanding job. And I think it's probably time that you let, a team like, you let Notre Dame in all the time. They're not a conference, team. And I know obviously Notre Dame's a college football blue blood, but at the same time, a lot of these Power 5 teams, Boise, for instance, a lot of them do really well in bowl games. They do better than Oklahoma does normally in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, let them in.
Look at these guys. I didn't even know they were down there. SMU, they got a team? They played
apparently so. Yeah, quietly 6-0, right?
Who's their coach? I don't even know who it is.
Mm.
Good cut. But it should be interesting. But a huge matchup, game day. Not the greatest slate of games, but still should be a good weekend. But anything you want to get on the way out?
No, I already said my spiel on Benedict Murray.
That's your boy, man. Oh yeah, and then late news. If you hadn't, I know we're doing it late. Oscar Delp, top 100 tight end, is a dog. I think we're moving up to number 3 in the 2022 class. So that was a big get, right, Sean? I think we're living off the Bowers and the Darnell Washington. Got to give it to Tyler Hartley, right?
Yeah.
Get him.
Mm-hmm.
But should be a great
Hope
week.
Cortez Hankins taking notes.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I think isn't Burton's coming up with a decision, like I read the other day, like 7 or 8 days, like coming up. How you feeling on that one? Lean?
Rusty
9 sisters.
Rusty, a lot of the insiders say at this point they feel confident. Only he really knows, but we do have the last visit. He's in for his official this weekend at Kentucky.
I gotta think, Missouri's pretty bad this year too. The only thing is, what gets me is that 8 or 9 sisters. That's a lot. They all want to stay close.
Well, but here's my thing. You want to know what I would do is, you remember the last great wide receiver to come out of Missouri? I know you do. Darrell Green Beckham. Remember that name?
Odell?
No, Darrell Green Beckham. Are you sure you want to go to Missouri?
Didn't we go after him hard too? Wasn't he a lean dog?
Everybody did, and he decided to. I'll give it to him. Decided to stay at home, but it didn't work out well. He probably would have gotten drafted higher if he got a Bama or someplace else to throw the ball.
Yeah, he was a beast. Yeah, good point. All right, buddy. Well, hey, that was another episode of the Herschel Talkers. Hey, if you're still with us, rate and subscribe. Get those
still
numbers.
With us.
You're still with us. All right. Herschel Talkers, and we're out.